Welcome back, everyone. It's Connie Sokol, your host, and I am so thrilled and giddy, as you can hear in my voice, that I have the guest that I have today, and we are talking about the topic we're talking about, which is Nanahood. And I have the beautiful Mary Jo Bell. Hi, thanks for being on,
Hey,
Mary.
hey, Connie. So happy to be here with you today. So excited. This
It
is
is
going to be so much fun.
I love it. And just even talking together, we've been having the best time. And that's why I started the recording. I'm laughing. It is so fun. I'm thinking, I wish we would have like recorded outtakes. This has been hysterical. Just
Oh
trying
my
to
God.
do the right lighting alone would have given you a boost for the day. It was so funny. Anyway, I will give you the official bio and then I will tell you the funny way that we just reconnected. But if you don't know yet, Mary Jo Bell is a mother of many, 8 beautiful children with 7 grandchildren and 1 on the way. She is also the author of the upcoming book, The Pursuit of Happiness, and that's coming out through Cedar Fort Publishing. And it's all about strengthening home and family. And beautifully, it's for all faiths, which I just love. It's a book that's going to help people outside the Latter-day Saint faith learn more about how the saints feel about family. And I'm sure being able to clarify a lot of misconceptions. She's also the host of the popular podcast, Moms Meet World. And she's also a columnist, contributor for Meridian Magazine and Thrive Global, and is a former writer for the Huffington Post. Welcome, Mary. So happy to have you here. Okay, so we just totally reconnected at a restaurant. I was there with my son and they were just getting engaged. They were just like, well, not official, but they're like, okay, it's unofficial. And she was so sweet to come over and say something. That was so fun.
Well, it was a little, I knew I was taking a risk. I could tell you were in this really fun situation and you were having like a meaningful celebratory something. And I thought, I'm just going to go for it. I'm just going to go for it because hopefully it'll just take 20 seconds, but I have to be a little fangirl here because I remember seeing you decades ago at Education Week. And I thought, this woman is incredible. If I can just share that, can I share what happened, Connie, at Education
Sure,
Week?
please.
Okay. So I'm
Should
sitting
I
there.
tremble?
No, you were so professional. I still remember the suit you wore. It was a kind of a medium, light to medium blue suit, and it was very professional. And you were giving this beautiful talk, and I was feeling the spirit. And I had all these little children, like 6 out of the 8, and they were, my purse was filled with crayons and notebooks, and they're not even there. I live in Seattle, but I'm still like packing around all these things and feeling, to be very honest, very overwhelmed. And you got up there, and who knows what all of the things were that you said. It was so many years ago. But you said one thing that stuck out to me, and I had to share this with you at that dinner. You said, when I was on a mission, I really wanted to consecrate that time to the Lord. And when I would go in the shower, I would make sure that I timed that shower because every available minute was for the Lord. And I just thought, oh my gosh, I don't even own a watch. If I had one, a baby would have absconded with it. I just didn't have time to even think about finding a wife. You know what I mean? Like I was just so, but I thought, wow, that's the mindset I need, is to not get so overwhelmed and instead think, do my best to consecrate my time to the Lord. And you've just been such a role model for me. And so when I saw you, I had to fangirl, but I tried to keep it short. But it wasn't the
Oh,
thing.
you were so gracious. And that is so gracious for you to remember that and not be annoyed and be like, what the heck? She times a 4-minute shower. Do you know what? With 7 kids, that saved my bacon. I had no idea that that would be a life skill, right? Otherwise, I would not have showered for the day. That's what a lot of my friends are like. My shampoo is my best friend, right? Thank you for making that a positive. That is so fun. Okay, I hope you're feeling the friendship here, like you're just sitting around the kitchen table with us, because that's how
Yeah.
this feels so
Yeah.
much.
Well,
You
when you're a little girl and you meet someone and you think this is a great little friend, when you're like 5 years old, I feel that connection with you. I feel that,
Yes.
like, there you are, high five, instant connection. I
All right,
just,
and putting the hand up, put the
yeah,
hand up. Oh,
yeah,
that's
you can feel the
exactly it.
power.
You're
Yeah,
skipping on the playground and say, "Do you wanna be my friend? You wanna play with me?" And they go play.
yeah,
I see my daughters when they were young and doing that.
yes,
If we did that as
yes,
adults, people would be backing away slowly like, "Oh my
so
word,"
true. And
which is
why
so
do
sad.
could be a whole other podcast, baby. A whole nother
Okay, I just wrote this down. We are doing another podcast on friendship. All right,
That's
let's
a
do
great
it.
idea. Let's do it.
Annoying people at their dinner in a restaurant. We'll give you tips. It'll be great.
You got it, listeners. You got it. We're going to share a whole list of things.
It's gonna be great. All right. So sorry. We'll pull it back. All right. So this Nanahood thing, laughing because she is an expert now. And she's probably going to gag on that one, but I'm just saying,
Not at all.
she's been writing articles on this. She's in the trenches of this. I just think this is such a beautiful sweet spot. And I get so many, I always am asking women at this stage of life, tell me your tips, tell me your gems, tell me the pearls of wisdom, because I want them now to prepare myself for that situation, but also to learn the wisdom of, I wish I would have, when I was younger. So I want to talk about just this term that you have coined, which I think is absolutely darling, this Nanahood. Tell us what that really signifies. What does that mean?
Okay, well, I've been thinking about, in fact, I think this might be another book. So we have that book coming out in February that I wrote. Then I'm thinking maybe another book on Nanahood because it deserves its own thing, right? So we've got brotherhood, we've got sisterhood, we talk sort of vaguely about grandparenthood, we've got neighborhoods, we've got a lot of hoods, but the hood, the hood to be in now, girls, is the
Feel a
Nana
wrap coming.
hood when you get there. Yeah, this is a very cool hood. And historically, we are being offered something that we have never in history been offered to this extent with the gospel before. And women are living longer and stronger, deeper, better. We can be multiple witnesses to what our children are teaching their children. Also, obviously, grandfathers, but for now, we're just zeroing in on Nanahood. So here we are. If we can try, even sort of, to be healthy, to be strong, so we feel well enough to do it, we may have 30 years or so of an opportunity to influence. And Connie, can you imagine? I mean, it sort of seems like God's hand is in this, right? Because we've never had maybe an earth mortality experience that's quite so challenged right now. So our world is quite polarized. And so having a Nana influence may be even more important now than ever. Having a multiple witness of the truth and a multiple example of what is good in the world, in a world that isn't always good, um, maybe more important than ever. So yeah, so I'm all about the Nanahood, all about the example. We have a lot of children that live close by, so we're fortunate. But there are ways to do this where you don't have to, listeners, have children close by. We do have children living behind us, living across the fence, living down the street in our old house that they bought, another family down there, another family 5 minutes from here. But we also have family in Texas and in Utah, and we do the same things that I'm going to talk about with them. So it's possible, however you want to do it.
I love it. And I love what you're saying, which is sometimes we think that when we get to the grandmother stage, this Nana stage, that we're kind of put out to pasture. We sit in the rocking chair and all we're there to do is provide cookies, right? But what I'm hearing from you is you are an essential part of this generational family dynamic that we are. I served my mission in Japan, and I think a lot about that, of how they always had the generational, the grandparents living with them, and that was just how it was. And this beautiful opportunity for the kids, when they couldn't stand the parents, they had another ally. They had somebody else they could go to, right? So
Yes.
you are actually in a great position of power. And like you said, of power and influence, if you intentionally pursue this and approach it right, you are in a place of beautiful, um, gentle but powerful influence, is what I'm hearing. And I absolutely agree. Have you seen that? Is there an experience that you've had at all with that, where you felt like, oh, I was in that moment for that grandchild, or I was in that moment and in that space for that person?
Oh my gosh, yes. And I could bring tears to my eyes. But I will say, to your other point, that it is an incredibly intentional thing that we can do. That before I think what you talked about in the rocking chair, that was grandmotherhood 1.0. Nanahood 2.0 is you're healthier and you're active and you're in their lives. So one of the things, to give you this story that you're asking for, I have grandchildren 5 and under right now. So I'm just getting started. We're revving up here. But I do this little thing at night when I go over, I call it the Nana Fairy, and I go over to their houses, or we add them on Zoom, and they know it's coming. They know that if their jammies are on and they're ready for bed, I try to support whatever the parents want me to support, whatever that list is the parents have. Okay, so if you've done your parents list, I'm here to be the Nana Fairy. I have some pink wings that I sometimes bring. I have a very special necklace, a heart-shaped necklace that I wear. That's my Nana Fairy necklace. They know all of this, and they're all up for it. They're all ready for it. I go over and I snuggle them, and we have blankets, and they're in a very receptive place to receive teaching, right? Because they're very calm and quiet at the end of the day. So I do a couple things. One, I whisper in their ear at the very end, the gospel of Jesus Christ is true. And if you follow the prophet and keep the commandments, you will have peace and joy in this life and perfect peace and joy in the world to come. It's the same thing I used to whisper to my little children when they were tiny, but they know this, and that's like just part of the routine. And it's a very sweet little thing I do. But I also do, when I'm leaving, I have them do it with me, and we stand up and we say, let's be very brave. Let's be very strong. Everybody, put your shoulders back and be brave. And we're going to say it together. My Nana has to go away, but she'll be back most any day. And then we turn around and say this next part. At any moment I may see, and then we turn back, my Nana coming back to me. And they have memorized it with me. So now, Connie, I don't even say it. They say, don't forget, we have to do the poem at the end. And then they stand up and they put their shoulders back and they get very brave. My Nana has to go away, but she'll be back most any day. At any moment, I may see my Nana coming back to me. And they're just so precious about it. I know, it's the sweetest thing. It's from an old Shirley Temple movie, but it's the sweetest thing. And then they know that that's going to happen. And so this one granddaughter, she's in Utah, and she has to say that knowing I'm getting on a plane. The other ones, all the other ones don't have, they know I'm going to see them tomorrow, but the one that's on a plane. So my daughter, Katie, sent me a video of the granddaughter, Clara, and she was thinking about that poem and the stories and the moments it's a whole video is her going, bawling her eyes out and going, I just need my Nana. I just need my Nana. You know what I mean? And so it doesn't have to be me. It could be but the Nana experience is so profound and so deep and so connecting that, yeah. So
I love how you call it the Nana experience,
yeah.
because it doesn't have to be a production. It's an experience. It's the connection that you're making with those kids, helping them to feel safe, helping them to know that they are loved. And that's really the joy of this stage of life. You're not having to teach necessarily. You're just reaffirming, you're just validating, you're just being able to be another, witness or another person that can say, these things are true, and you can hold on to those things, whatever those values may be.
Yeah.
I love this. Okay, so now that we've done this, and you've like come up with this little Nana fairy stuff and all these cool things, we're going to talk about some other really specific tips in a minute.
Mhm.
How did this get started? Like, did you have a Nana figure in your life, or did you have someone who sort of modeled this for you?
I did. And I kind of want to say, listeners, it's okay if you didn't, because I was just listening to I think it's Matthew Richardson, and he was saying how he didn't have, it was on Grant Parenthood. And he's a pretty well-known guy in the
Oh
church,
yeah.
really a wonderful guy. But he said he didn't have grandparents that he was particularly close to, but he made a conscious effort to break the chain and make this happen. So what I'm about to tell you, I'm truly blessed, but I didn't know either one of my granddads. So, we all get blessed in different ways, and we can make things happen no matter what happened. So my Nana, it's even hard to talk about her without teary, because she was such a gift. And she would have us over, my sister and I frequently, also live close. We'd play dress up with her jewelry in this heart-shaped box. I remember she was just constantly affirming. I think that's what we want to be as Nanas, right? Just that source of what do they call it? Every person for good mental health needs someone who loves them irrationally. And my Nana was the embodiment of that. She loved you irrationally. However you came, however you were, whatever you did, you were absolutely loved by her. And she thought you were the best thing since sliced bread, as they say. I mean, she just couldn't get over how wonderful you are and were and will be, just always in your corner. So that was fantastic. But one of the things she taught me by example was, and I just wrote an article about this for Meridian, but I'll just explain it. One night I went to bed and I woke up in the middle of the night. I got to sleep on her guest bed in her guest room. I was pretty young. And I opened my eyes and she wasn't there. It was like 3 a.m. I thought, where's my grandma? This isn't good. And so I patted out my little jammies and I walked around. I finally found her in the living room in the corner, 3:30 in the morning or whatever, kneeling against an ottoman praying. And I had come in so quietly, and she was an older grandmother, and probably just the combination, she didn't hear me, but she just kept praying and I went back to bed, and she was, honestly, Connie, she was probably out there for an hour. She was just one of those people. And then I realized this is a pattern. Like, she gets up super early and just goes and prays. So she never really, I don't honestly remember a conversation with her about, now make sure we always pray. I don't remember that, but I remember her example, and it got me through my entire rest of my life. Prayer
Oh,
is a huge key.
and isn't that key? And I bet those parents, right? Your parents had been talking about prayer and have family prayer, and here we do prayer, right?
Sure.
But those it's like the cherry on the cheesecake. Like, it's just that thing. And
Yes.
And it just sinks it deep into their soul because they know that they don't have to listen. They know they don't have to be taught by something, so they're gonna be so open to be receptive. But
So
the
true.
the parents part is so important to create the structure and the framework and the
Oh,
ability, the receptors, right, for them to be able to receive that. But that
absolutely.
grandparent opportunity
Mm.
to influence in that way in those moments, those really key keeper moments, I love that.
I can't agree with you more. And you know that expression, it's better to, if you can get away with it, raise an eyebrow rather than raise the roof,
Yeah.
right? So I think grandmothers and grandfathers have that. Like you can, I've had these kids over all the time, and they'll come in, and sometimes in that 3-year-old tantrum stage, they'll start, and the parents are trying to figure out what to do, and they're learning that, and they're doing a great job. I love them. But I'll look over and raise my eyebrow and look at them, and girls, like I'll point just, and they'll immediately like, ooh, because grandparents are more like celebrities, right? They're not in your house all the time. They don't know all your faults. They just think you're just, oh my gosh, my grandmother just, we know, we're ladies, we're gentlemen, and that, it's awesome. It's
I
incredible power.
love that. Oh, and the power of a raised brow. I
Yeah.
remember we
Mhm.
had our primary program for all the children, for those that are listening or not of the Latter day Saint faith, but we have a program once a year where the children do all these songs. And it's the day that grandparents absolutely love and look forward to. And the chorister was a grandma. Anyway, she had been teaching these kids and stuff. And so it's quiet when they're starting to get ready to go up, to everybody sing. And this little boy's like, I don't want to go up. And you can hear it in the whole thing. And this woman that's a grandma, she turned around without even a millisecond and she just raised the brow and she just went and gave him the brow. And he just went, and he just walked right up. It was the most hilarious thing. I think
Love it.
I don't remember what songs they sang. I just remember that moment. I was like, that is the power of a matriarch right there.
Yes,
Right there.
matriarch, that's the word. And you almost just sort of are imbued with it at the child's birth. You just have this, if you, as long as
Yes.
you don't disrespect that role, you've got it.
Absolutely. In fact, if I could take it one step further, I was having a conversation with a friend of mine the other day who's I think she's got 30 something grandchildren. And we were talking about the power and influence of being a mom. And she said, I call it the mother matrix. And it's funny that we just said matriarch because just this morning I was thinking, I wonder if I should call that the matriarch matrix because she said
Yes.
a mother has this power and influence that dominoes down through the generations before and after. And her power in prayer, her power in who she is, the spirit, the way she carries herself. It influences generations both ways for generations. And I love this that instead, again, of this feeling of as you're getting a farther ahead in life and you're kind of waning instead of waxing, that you are still wax on, wax off. You are
Oh,
still in,
yeah.
in a powerful, in fact, more so because you say, like you said, a raised eyebrow, one key word, a moment on a couch, you have this power in these condensed readers digest ways that you did not have before. So
Amen.
what are some of the ways that grandparents can specifically influence their grandchildren?
That's a beautiful question. And I just want to speak to what you said too about this. Talked about generation. So it's over the generations. We are in the future going to be remembered for whatever we did here. Aren't you still, I don't know if you still have grandparent or recently lost parents or how that worked for you, if you remember your grandparents' influence, but my sisters and brothers and I still to this day we'll talk about our grandparents' influence
Mm.
frequently, our grandmothers. I mean, it's just still coming up. And what are we now? 50, 60, 70 years later, we are still talking about how incredible they were. And even their parents. We have stories about their parents. So it is intentional and it's beautiful. What have we done? We have gone um, out of our way to try to share with our kids, our grandkids, what work are you doing? Like if we love something, like my husband loves to swim. So that's going to be a continued pattern with them.
Love.
Camping, all the things that we're naturally passionate about and love. I love to sing. I'm not the world's best singer. I'm not Barbara Streisand, but I am a singer. And it's interesting how they come with that. Sometimes they come with that gene. Our little granddaughter, Lily, it's crazy. The other night I was over there and I said, sweet girl, I just feel a song coming on. Is that okay? And she said, oh, Nana. She's 4. She goes, I am full of song. That's were her words. I am full of song. I totally get you. And I said, do you feel like you just have to get those songs out sometimes? She goes, do I ever? I have to get them out. So I said, you know what? You go first. How about you sing your song? And little kids, they'll sing in a way that's almost autobiographical. And they'll also talk about really spiritual things in a funny, sing-songy,
Yes.
nonsensical song. So I could tell she was slightly self-conscious. So I said, go ahead and whatever you want to sing. And then I just closed my eyes. And then here comes this little 4-year-old song. And Jesus loves us so, and he'll be a guide, I know. And sometimes it's really hard and I don't want to share my toys, but Jesus wants me to, this whole thing, it goes on for like 7 minutes. There's no piano accompaniment. There's no
It's an operetta.
yeah, there's no, because it wouldn't exist, but it's just very rookie and random, but it's just the sweetest thing. So if you love to sing, listeners, I would encourage you to keep doing it with your kids. I have a dream, Connie, of having a gathering house. The King family. Do you know who the King family is? They're LDS,
I've
kind of
heard of them.
1950s.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
One of them was in My Three Sons, Tina Cole. Anyway, darling family, but their family members got together and they got a house together and they built a little stage in this house. So it was a house where you could come like on a vacation, not a super, pardon me, sleeping place, but a place where you could gather and sing and perform just for their family. Can you imagine? So you've got a gathering space and a little bit of a stage, and then people can give a talk, or you can maybe have sacrament meeting. I don't know. You could have songs, you could perform a play. That is one of my dreams. I just have that musical theater gene, and I would love to do that. Wouldn't that be so fun?
And the memories. I mean, I'm thinking
Yeah.
of who's that family that they all did Les Mis, and it was a few
Yes.
years ago, went viral, and
Yes.
they
I
were just
love
standing by the couches and they're holding babies, and
Yeah.
the men are just like belting it. The women are belting it, and one of them, I think she's pregnant, and you're like, what the heck? We can hardly get Twinkle Twinkle Little Star. Like these guys were amazing, but that shared experience. And I love how you bring up camping. I remember years ago as in a Relief Society, our church class that's for women, it's called Relief Society, and this woman got up and she is super capable, very detailed, emergency preparedness. I mean, she's amazing, and I was like almost trembling what she might tell us to do, right? And she gets up and I will never forget, she said, you know what, we just need to do how we do our family. So how do you do family best? She said, you know what, we're terrible singers, but we're good campers, so we camp. And I went,
Yes.
genius. Like, play to your strengths and stop bemoaning your weakness, right? Hook up with another family that sings so you can go camping and they take care of the singing, right?
Exactly.
So
Whatever
I
you
love
love.
that.
Yeah, we do Nana's Little Bananas. We make banana bread, and I call them Nana's Little Bananas as we make whatever you're already doing. A lot of times I'll call, daughters-in-law or daughters up and just say, hey, do you want a little break? We have a Costco 45 minutes from here. Do you want me to just pop them in the car and take them around? And here's the secret of that. They don't make a mess when they're in their car seats, right? So if you want your little Nana house to stay clean, then you can run all your little errands, take them to lunch, be back in like 4 hours. The daughter-in-law has a break. The mom has a break. It's just whatever you're already doing, if you can possibly pop them in.
I love that,
Mhm.
because again, removing this need for it to be a production, for it to be
It doesn't.
meaningful, right?
Yeah.
And you
Right.
could do it in flow like that. And it's so new. It's like it's way better to do dishes at somebody else's house. It's way funner to do
Yeah.
Costco with Nana than it is to do it with mom. And she's all functional. She's got her list and she's like, stop touching that, right? It's a totally different experience. Now, I know one of the other things that you talk about in being influential as a grandparent is this power of listening and seeing that child. What's your thoughts on that for our listeners?
That's such a great question. Actually, if we only said one thing this whole podcast, that's the thing I would pick to say. Thank you for asking that question. Also emotional. I don't know why, but Stephen R. Covey said, when we listen to someone, when we really listen to them, we're giving them emotional oxygen. I have a testimony of that. I think that's what we do for each other. And Mrs. Fields, of the ancient Mrs. Fields cookie thing, remember?
I remember it. Yeah.
You hear that? Yeah. She said, everyone wears a sign on their forehead, an invisible sign that says, make me feel important. That
Mm.
doesn't stop at adults, right? That's children. And that's where we plant those seeds. And so I remember the story of a little boy who said, Mom, can you please listen to me? She said, I am listening to you. And he said, no, no, no. Can you listen to me? She said, sweetheart, I'm listening. He said, Mom, you're so busy. Can you listen to me with your eyes? Listen to me with your eyes.
Oh, I
So
love
what he
it.
really wanted was just that deep drink, right? Look at
Yes.
me and look deeply into my eyes and really see me as I'm talking. And that's when we give that gift. And honestly, that's true with my husband. That's true with all my adult kids.
Mm.
But that's really true too with these little tiny grandchildren who maybe they can't really say a lot. Maybe they're just starting to learn to talk. But to have someone give them emotional oxygen and look deeply into their eyes and really pay attention, that is currency for future talks about what's most important in life. And it's a currency for trust about, okay, you could go this way or you could go this way in life. I'm your Nana. We've had these deep talks. We've had this connection. Maybe I can encourage you, hopefully, to go this other way or whatever.
Oh, that is so true. It makes me think of that talk by Rosemary Wixom, who talked about beloved. Oh, what's the word? Behold your little ones. It's called Behold Your Little Ones. And
Yeah.
she talked about how the Savior, beholding him, he loved him and then told him something that was hard to hear in the New
Yes.
Testament. And it says, but beholding him, that came first. And I
Mhm.
think that when we look deeply and we see them, we are beholding them. And I remember when I first listened to that, I started going around and like beholding people. Like I would just, instead of looking in my purse, getting my car keys, or my
Yeah.
favorite was when my kids would come home from school and I'm emptying the dishwasher because I'm multitasking. How was
Yeah.
your day? Tell me how, who's that you sat with at lunch? But
Yeah.
I'm doing the dishwasher. I'm listening, but I'm
Yeah.
not. And
Yeah.
I started putting that aside and just standing at the counter and we just eat a snack together and I just be nodding and looking and listening and
Beautiful.
laughing. But it took me a while to realize that I
Yeah.
knew cerebrally the difference, but
Yeah.
the emotional difference, the payoff is so different. So I love that you bring that up.
Yes. In fact, I wonder, Connie, just musing friend to friend, I wonder if it's what is it about looking deeply into someone's eyes? Is it because maybe that's where, when I look deeply into your eyes, I go beyond your cute physical exterior and I go into your spirit. I
Mm.
really go into your soul and you go into mine. And so when a spirit to spirit contact happens, that's more meaningful than just a, hey, you look nice, let's go to lunch. It's there's a deeper spiritual thing that happens even to a 3-year-old that doesn't recognize that consciously. It's like, you see my spirit, you see my soul, you see my premortal self. And on that line, if I can just inject this, when Clara was born, my very first grandchild, I'm so excited for you to have your first one because I want you to tell me if this happens to you. When Clara was born, I looked deeply into her eyes and I swear I had this moment. It really took me by surprise. I thought, hello again. I know exactly who you are. We've
Mm.
been friends for centuries, for endless time. Clara, you're back. It was the wildest thing.
Wow.
It's wild. But that
Wow.
that eye to eye
That
thing.
eye to eye, and that's I
Mm.
find that with that was my Bryson, my little caboose. I had him at 47, and I remember when I looked into his eyes, old soul, and I know
Yeah,
people listening know what
yeah,
I'm talking about, where
yeah,
they just he wasn't just like looking around glassy-eyed like a baby. He's looking at me, and it's almost like he was trying to say something to me. And
yeah.
I could feel this sort of purpose, this mission that he had. And that's, as far as I'll go there, but just this
Yes.
sort of download that I got about this child. And I thought, you're right. And
Chills.
I think this is a beautiful thing to practice if we could invite that for our listeners and for ourselves, that as you go about your day, but especially to children, to stare at them, not stare annoyingly, but really look at them. And as you're looking at them, let them know that you are looking at them. And that means getting down on their level. I've
Yeah.
had to remind myself because, 7-year gap between my sixth and seventh. And so, I was
I
out of
also
practice
had
with
a
Bryson.
7-year gap between my 7th and no, my 6th and 7th.
There
7
you
gap between
go.
7th. So I know what you mean.
And you're kind of out of practice, right?
Oh
But
my
I had to
gosh.
remember to get back to, and then it's a little longer getting down, a little longer getting up, right? So I had to like look, really make sure I'm looking into his eyes so he could even be looking down at me. So it gave him that feeling of power. And then the one last other thing that I'd love to add in is that I have on occasion, I don't remember to do it all the time, but especially when I'm struggling with someone, I'm having a difficult conversation with someone, I will look in their eyes and in my mind, I will say, I love you. I love you. I
Oh, I
love
love
you.
this.
You are a child of God and I love you. And sometimes it's to my teenagers and I have
I
to say
love
it over
this.
and over, but I love them and I know that I love them. But I think, again, like you're saying, the eye to eye contact where there is, we know from the scriptures, that is the window to the soul. It is that light. If the light is in your eyes, then how great is that light within you in your soul?
Wow, chills. I also love what you said about teenagers when you're looking in their eyes with something maybe a little bit hard, but in your
Mm,
mind, you're saying, I love you, I love you, I love you, because we both agree the adversary is real. And so in those those, I'll say tense, they don't have to be contentious, but those tougher moments, he'd love
yes.
to be right in there. He'd love to be right in there. But if you're saying, I love you, that's your shield, right? Like you're protecting
Yes.
him from entering that conversation. So that's
Right there. Goosebumps off my arm. I hope you're feeling it out there, ladies, because
totally,
oh my goodness.
yeah,
Okay, I'm sorry. I know we are over time, but this has been so good. We need to have part two. We have got to have another podcast, and she is my new best podcast friend. I just love and adore you. This
I
was
love
meant
you.
to be, and we both
I love
felt
you
it.
too.
Like no coincidence seeing each other
I
at La
totally
Jolla.
agree. You know who I think of you as? I don't know if you know Jennifer Hatmaker. You're
No,
the LDS Jennifer Hatmaker. You're the LDS spirit filled, not that she isn't, but extra, like an extra dose. That's what you, that
I've got
anyway.
to go look her up. I hope
Yeah.
that she's a nice person.
She's a very nice person, real high energy. She does kind of a Christian podcast, but you've got that on lock. And I'm
I
serious.
You are a love sending her brownies. No, I'll just take you out for a brownie. That's what we'll do. Yeah, we're having fun and friendship here. Okay, so here's the deal. You're not going to miss anything. She's got some specific traditions that she has listed out just for you. I'm going to put those in the show notes so you're not missing anything. And I'm going to put a link to some of her blog posts. I'll have her send us some of her favorites at Meridian, the articles that she's written, so she can send us a couple so you can get used to some of the wonderful other things that she is sharing. But I have absolutely loved this. On that note, if people want more, which they are going to want more, where can they reach you the best way?
Great question. Moms Meet World is our podcast. It's done really well, but it's fairly new. So I think there's an email on there. If not, you can email me at maryjobell@gmail.com. That's just the simplest way to do that right now. maryjobell@gmail.com. Just
Perfect.
put it all out.
Email her, ask her questions like a Dear Abby, Dear Mary Jo, Mary. I just think this has been so riotously fun and insightful and so fulfilling. Thank you for taking your time today. I look forward to the next time already. Thank you so much.
Hugs.
Mwah! And as always, if you are loving this content, feel free to go below, rate, review, and subscribe. And if you want any of our free downloads on purposeful living, on being able to find out your mission, being able to connect with other women who are like minded and want to live and do for Him on the daily, then go to conniesokol.com. And I have all kinds of things from freebies to courses to retreats to coaching. We've got it all to help you move forward to fulfill your purpose for Him. As always, thank you for taking the next step in living your organized, purposeful, and joyful life.